So I'm pretty sure most of you have seen this already, but 2 days ago Ubisoft finally revealed Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, which is basically a remake of one of the most popular games in the franchise, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Now, I actually just replayed the whole game from start to finish, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed it, and that's exactly why I'm a bit confused about this remake. I don't really think Black Flag needs one. Like, yeah, it's a bit dated in some areas, sure, but overall, it still holds up really well. It's still fun, still engaging, and honestly, better than a lot of games that come out today. I feel like there are other Assassin's Creed games that deserve a remake way more than this one. But at the same time, we all know why they chose Black Flag. Ubisoft hasn't been doing great these past few years, a lot of people are pretty disappointed with them, their games have started to feel kinda repetitive, kinda uninspired, and even though I still enjoy some of their releases, I definitely prefer their older stuff. A perfect example is Skull and Bones. That game was supposed to be huge, a big open world pirate RPG, kinda like Sea of Thieves, but it just didn't land, a lot of people didn't like it, and overall it was seen as a pretty big failure.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Ubisoft spent years on it and lost a ton of money, and now they're trying to recover from that with another pirate game so that they can use some assets from Skull and Bones and maybe try to make some of that money back. What is up, ladies and gentlemen, I am Pino and welcome back to my corner, guys. As always, when it comes to game releases, there are controversies which I think are very dumb and hypocritical. I am excited for this upcoming game, there are some things that I don't like, which we are going to see in a moment, but overall, I don't think this game looks bad. Before we take a look at this whole situation, I want to quickly mention that I am a small channel currently pushing for 1k subscribers. I talk about game releases and make gaming related commentary videos, so if that sounds like your thing, please consider subscribing and checking out my other videos. One of my biggest complaints is that you need to be connected to your internet to download the game. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced requires internet to install, even on physical PS5 and Xbox copies. The original 2013 version lets you install the bulk of the game straight from the disc without any online check. The remake forces a full download that's set up for patches and verification. Once installed, the single-player campaign plays completely offline. But this initial requirement kills the old-school disc-only experience for anyone with spotty connection or who just wants to own it physically. That just defeats the whole point of a physical release. I really don't like the direction that Ubisoft has taken with this whole you want to own anything and be happy thing. That, of course, didn't really sit well with the fanbase. Some people are saying they're refusing to buy the game because of this, which yeah, I do understand. Now let's get into the game itself. The reveal video has been playing in the background while I've been talking, and you can immediately see how good this game looks. And to be fair, I think the original Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag was already a beautiful game, especially the water. They did a really good job with the art direction back then. The remake looks great too. I've seen some people complain, saying it looks generic and that it lost its identity. I don't really agree with that. I think the game still looks really good. A lot of what made the original look the way it did was just the technical limitations at the time. Here's a side-by-side comparison. In this scene, someone commented that the lack of fog ruined the whole mood of it. They said something like, the mood is totally gone, it feels generic because of the lightning and the lack of fog over the water. But the thing is, these are two completely different weather conditions. You can't really compare them like that, in my opinion. And honestly, I feel like this is something they can still tweak before release. This ties into a bigger thing I've been noticing. People keep confusing technical limitations with an actual art style or identity. Back then, especially in the PS1 to PS3 era, most games were trying to look as realistic as possible. They just didn't have the tech to fully do it. So the way those games looked wasn't always some intentional style, it was just the best they could do at the time. Now when a remake comes out and everything looks cleaner and more realistic, people say it lost its identity when in reality it's just closer to what they probably wanted in the first place. That doesn't mean modern games are automatically better. I still think a lot of older games feel way more memorable than what we get today. But acting like every remake is betraying the original vision just because it looks cleaner, I don't really agree with that. The models look great and very detailed. I think the game looks really good. Let's move on to the animations, and unfortunately I don't really like what they did with the parkour. It looks very similar to the system in Assassin's Creed Mirage, where your character feels kind of magnetized to the surfaces, like you just snap onto things. And I don't like the pause between jumps, it really kills your momentum and makes everything feel less fluid. Now, to be fair, the older games' parkour wasn't amazing either. In Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, I remember Edward sometimes just not listening to my inputs and going wherever he wanted. So yeah, it wasn't great, but at the same time it wasn't bad either. The system we've seen in recent games has simplified parkour a lot, and it definitely gives you more freedom, but also less expression. I just hope not everything is climbable, like in Assassin's Creed Odyssey or Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's kind of a shame that Ubisoft doesn't focus as much on parkour anymore, especially since it used to be one of the main features of the older games. The combat looks fine. I would have liked the parries to be a bit more fluid, but even with how they are now, I think it still looks decent. They said it's using the same system as Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I haven't played, so I can't really say how it feels, but from what I've seen, it looks alright. They also remade the finishers from the older game, which I think is pretty cool. The cutscenes look great too. They reused the mocap from the original Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which I honestly think is fine, especially when you compare it to the cutscenes in games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey or Assassin's Creed Shadows. There are, of course, people who aren't happy with the combat because they prefer the older style, but honestly, I think a lot of it is just nostalgia. The older combat wasn't really that great, in my opinion. If I had to choose between the old system and the new one, I'd go with the new one. It just feels more open, you can do more things. At the end of the day, both systems kind of boil down to the same thing, parry and then attack. But with the newer system, you have more options. You can do extra moves that aren't necessary to win the fight, but they let you play in your own way and add a bit of more expression to it. The Jack doll looks beautiful.
You named your brig after a poxy bird.
You can also have a pet on board, which is a pretty cute little addition. They've also added some new quests with new characters, which the internet has been calling woke, along with a few other changes I don't really want to get too deep into. While announced as an action-adventure game and not an RPG, Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced will seemingly still feature perks tied to weapons and gear. Is this something you still appreciate in the game or could do without? What I feel like a lot of people are forgetting is that Assassin's Creed has actually had RPG elements for a long time. Even back in the earlier games there was some form of progression and upgrades. It wasn't full RPG until later entries like Assassin's Creed Origins, but the foundation was already there. Personally, I'm actually glad this remake won't be a full RPG like Assassin's Creed Valhalla or Assassin's Creed Shadows. That was one of the biggest worries people had ever since the first leaks came out, and from what it looks like, it seems like the developers are at least trying to listen to what fans want this time around. I do understand why people don't really like remakes. They often feel like cash grabs, and a lot of people are worried the same thing could happen with Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. At the end of the day, all we have right now is this reveal, which already shows quite a bit about the game. We also now know the release date is July 9th, so we'll have to wait until the game actually releases. Ubisoft games are kind of known for launching with a lot of bugs, so hopefully that won't be the case here, especially since this feels like a pretty important release for them. This feels like Ubisoft's last chance. If they mess this up, I don't really know how long they can keep it going like this, and that's kind of sad, because Ubisoft has been a big part of a lot of people's childhoods. Seeing the company keep struggling and repeating the same mistakes isn't a good sight. Hey, it's me, Pino from editing, and I just came across this tweet that I found really interesting. Did you know during the Assassin's Creed Black Flag there was a discussion from Darby McDevitt about a DLC for Edward's later years after the main story ended? The idea was to show him working with the assassins in Britain and possibly chasing down the infamous pirate Ned Lowe, who was one of the most ruthless pirates of the era across Africa and India. There's a reference of him in Black Flag, however, the DLC sadly never happened. Now, why I wanted to add this is they didn't announce a multiplayer and not even a DLC, which I think will happen. I think Freedom Cry DLC will happen eventually, or something like it. I think there will be some DLCs. However, I'd really like them try to explore this DLC that unfortunately never happened. I think it would be very interesting. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.